Welcome to Thrive, your agency resource, the only podcast for creative, media, and technology leaders who are ready to dive deeper into conscious leadership and agency growth. I'm your host, Kelly Campbell. Thrive is brought to you by Accessiby, the leading web accessibility solutions provider. Join thousands of agencies that are already incorporating web inclusivity into their service offerings. Visit accessiby.com today. So welcome back to Thrive, your agency resource. Today we're diving into a sense of creativity. And what does that actually mean? I'm actually joined by Erik Kockum, who is the co-founder of Snask, a creative agency based in Stockholm, focused on real emotions and playfulness. And we're definitely going to cover a couple of those things today. Erik, a warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on Thrive today.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, happy to be here. It's going to be fun. Excited.
So I've got to know right out of the gate, how did you and your co-founder come up with the name for this agency? It's not something that rolls off the tongue very easily, but it's also really fun to say. So just curious about the backstory there.
I understand. I hope that you would say the opposite. It was a perfect word to say, but it's the Snask is a Swedish word from the start, and we, to be honest, it sort of came up from just a long list of names and this, but this one Snask means candy, it means gossip, it means filth. It has this sort of a lot of meaning to it. But the whole candy part, which is maybe the main thing, is we thought that of our design that we're going to do is like eye candy, and this had the candy connection to it. So we thought it was a funny word to use, but also that we wouldn't be in Sweden. We thought that we would be in London or New York or something, and there people wouldn't really know. And there was like Snask, yeah, but that works. Because here in Sweden, it's a little bit dirty, the word. People don't really use it that much. But then we realized that all our friends were back here in Stockholm. We moved back and suddenly we have an agency named Snask back home. And yeah, that's sort of how it happened. But I like it because normally it's like even that feeling of the word Snask or snask in Swedish sort of translates weirdly enough to like English. It's almost like people are like snasky. And it works.
Yeah, it's very
yeah.
I like it. So what we're here to talk about is obviously the key to creativity, or keys, plural maybe. So I'm so curious to hear your take. I visited your website. I absolutely love the whole aesthetic. It's just so compelling and kind of, I don't know, anyone who wants to go take a look at it, it's just snask.com, exactly how it sounds. But it's fun, it's playful, it's irreverent. There's a lot there. And so you can tell that creativity is a through line, not only in the deliverables for your agency, but there's a core value there, I think, of creativity. So I'm curious as to what are the things that you believe are inherently sort of the components of creativity?
Thank you for those kind words, first of all. And no, but it's a difficult question. Of course, I think that everyone, maybe individually or in different organizations, need to find their own approach sometimes. But as on a more general note, I think that freedom of being wrong is something that is or doing things wrongly or trying things out is something that we try to, create an environment for, where it's like you're allowed to not know everything from the start. And that's something that I think really connects to creativity, because and that's only culture. When we started out Snask, we had no clue what we were doing. We didn't know how to run a business. We didn't know, exactly, right. And it was, everyone told us, you need this much experience. You have to, have your 10 years at some big agency before you can start your own, bring in your clients, do whatever it was. Especially this, all these old white men love to say this to us. They also told us that we couldn't be named Snask because it was too not serious enough and so on. But we were like, no, we want to do it our way. We want to try our beliefs, So we sort of from the start founded like a way of doing it, which was a sort of trial and error type of attitude that like, yes, we don't really know, but like how hard can it be? And we want to try to do it in a different way, you know.
Yeah.
So I think there it started, and then that's something that you can bring into your projects as well. And you know, so definitely dare to do things wrong. It's like, I mean, you have to try things to know if they work, and you can't know everything from start. That's definitely a first thing, at least.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's interesting
yeah.
because one of my other clients, a creative agency, one of their core values or their tenets is failure has to be an option,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing you're saying.
It's very much it very much is, and I mean, it's like especially fun when you get more experience. I guess you learn ways of doing things, right? So you're like, oh, but I've done this before, sort of. You can use that experience to create something again that is more or less the same that you did before,
Yeah.
you know. But then, well, will that be good? Will that be interesting? You know, probably not as much as again, if you try to wander out in areas where you haven't been before and so on. And I mean, I think a big thing with that too is definitely time. So the second part, I would be like, you need to an environment to fail. It's totally fine to fail. It's totally fine to not know everything and be wrong. But then you need the time, redo, try again, different, you know, find a new approach or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is also, if you can mix those two together, then definitely you're in a good situation.
Yeah. It's interesting also because what I hear you saying inside of that, or maybe underneath that, is yes, sort of embracing failure as part of the creative process or part of creativity, and then giving people enough time to actually go about it a different way, to maybe fail again, figure things out, maybe collaborate with other people, have some more white space, you know, whatever is necessary as creatives. Those are the things that we need. But underneath all of that, you, in terms of being a co-founder, a leader of this agency, along with your partner, there's a lot of empathy, right? A lot of empathy for the creatives or for what other people might be experiencing in that agency, right? And there's also a lot of vulnerability, I think, that you have to embody. So I'm wondering how those things influence your agency's culture.
No, and that's super interesting. And I would almost want to bring in every employee we've been having throughout the years and ask them more about their experience on this, you know, because like I think from the start in us doing this, like our way, you know, like trying to do it differently and so on, that sort of also created a situation where no one really knew what is our process. You know, we're not doing it by the book, we're not doing it. So I think we demanded without saying it that you took a lot of responsibility on your own, you know, and needed to drive your ideas and push them, you know, because they weren't maybe a perfect process that was like lifting people up. And that's something that we maybe in the beginning, maybe when we were younger and we found this like amazing creatives that we brought in and collaborated with, we knew that they were like very strong characters in this way. But after a while, you start understanding that it cannot be like, it can't be like almost people competing against each other on like pushing the boundaries. You need to find a more stable and a softer version too, where you're more caring about yourself and other people, and that's something that we are still working on, I think, too. And you know, to because everyone is different too and so on, and the empathy of adapting to everyone's needs and ways of being creative too. You know, not everyone can, some people are immediate in their response to you know, to a question. So some people need to go and think and find inspiration, maybe sit alone, maybe it comes in the evening, you know, when they're not at work, etc.
Yeah.
And I think that's a like maybe also something that you need to adapt to different work groups and in individuals as well. And I mean, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Freddie or Snasby is not perfect in our way of doing it either. We don't have all the answers all the time. So it's a lot about communication.
Yeah.
With everyone too.
Did you know that 1 out of 5 people in the US is living with some form of disability? I'm proud to partner with Accessity as they work toward the mission of making the web accessible to everyone. It's time to prioritize inclusivity. Ensure that your own website and your client sites can be accessed by all and that they're ADA compliant. Head over to accessity.com/thrive to learn more about their agency partner program. Now, back to the show. But I think that what you just said is really important. We don't have all of the answers. As the leaders, we don't have all of the answers. And so we're collaborating and constantly communicating with our employees, maybe with our clients, maybe it bleeds into every single aspect of the agency. And that really is pretty much a hallmark, one of the hallmarks of conscious leadership, right? To not think you have to have this sort of machismo that I'm the one who has all the answers. I'm the only one who can come up with the solutions. It really doesn't invite that, creativity that we're talking about.
No, exactly. And here it's also becomes interesting with cultures and different countries and where people come, we're based here in Stockholm, Sweden, and we're more like a boutique size agency, but we work with the clients all over the world, and also we have employees and other collaborations with creatives all over the world. And you notice just there, it can be a big difference on how people go into these type of relationships. It's like and to start off, like countries that are more controlled, like countries that doesn't have a democracy going on in the same way, or where they've been taught in an early age to obey the governments and the orders of the country. They of course struggle with creativity. It's like, it's just, and creativity is sort of like an everyday thing. If you have a way that you walk in the morning to get to the bus, let's say, and someone has drawn a road, this is how the road goes, and here's you walk, and then you take a left there and you walk around this field, and then you get to your bus station, let's say, and that's okay, this is how it's going to work. But in reality, it might be a lot faster to walk over that field, and create a path, and you start and that's like the human creativity and the human evolution of finding better solutions for this type of things. And I think to create that path across a field to get faster to the bus station is creativity. And I think it's that is not allowed in many cultures now. You don't do that. You follow the rules that were set up, while maybe in safe Sweden, we're here, it's not a big thing, of course. I mean, it's a little bit like a stupid example, but you understand what I mean.
No, not stupid at all.
It's like that type of thing. I think it's also sets up different challenges. So with us having people coming from cultures where it's a lot more hierarchies, for example, they don't even dare to. If I say you have the freedom to think about this yourself, you can come with your own ideas, you're just as a big part of this as I am. It's really hard to sometimes to actually get people in on that, even if you say it. It's like you need to show it in more ways, I think, and that's not always easy. You think that you communicated something, but maybe it didn't go.
I'm curious about what you just said. What is one way that you've sort of overcome something like that, where you're communicating, hey, I'm giving you all of this space, all of this time, come back with your ideas, and maybe there's some disbelief or distrust or something going on with that employee or that collaborator? What is one way that you've kind of shown them that this is true, that they can trust, what you're saying?
I would say I need to shut up more. Like it's sometimes, it's about constraining yourself to be like, it's easy to have an opinion on so many things, and it's so easy to fall back into, again, experience. I've done this 10 times. I'm sure they will never pick, the client will have this feedback, or and I mean, you need to constrain yourself in that, because you're killing people, their vibe, if you only start mentioning these type of things. And you might not even be right, first of all. And I mean, yeah, it's about like taking a step back and actually giving space, not just like, hey, you should totally be free. And then as soon as they present something, you're like, that will never work. And then it's not, then you're not doing it for real, right? So it's a lot about self-control and working with yourself and going to therapy. No, but like all of these things to be more confident and calmer, actually listening yourself to what you are saying and not just saying it. Another thing that I think is important in terms of like a creative process is that sometimes a part of the process, again, like we started off, is about doing things wrong.
Yeah.
And therefore, even if you have a feeling that this might not work, or are we heading the wrong way here, don't let that stop you sometimes.
That fear, right?
Yeah, it can be, yeah, exactly. And I mean, even if you have a client that's sitting there that you want to go and you need to present this, it's fine if they don't think it's perfect. It's like, use that then, and like, okay, but we tried, we got something useful out of it, both maybe in our internal process, that we tried something, that we gave it a chance and we learned something from that, but also with the client, that they saw the way you're thinking, they that created something that maybe in the end results, say a product or whatever, a finished work that is different to what it would have been if you would have tried to reach there, go there immediately. So I mean, I think it's like being true to what you say, and don't be afraid of failure, and don't be afraid of that type of not being right all the time with the client. And it's a part of what we do. Sometimes people forget to say that we okay, yes, we are experts. We should definitely be experts. Like if we do design, and so it's so easy for other people to start stepping in and pointing out and telling us what to do, and there we should stand straight and be really talk about what we know and our experience. Use that for sure, but also maybe a way of telling that to client is to explain it to them that we need to do things, like that it's fine to be wrong, and maybe they believe that, okay, now Snask is going to do this, it's going to be perfect, we're going to get blown away immediately, but maybe that's not how it is. We also need to
yeah, and that's kind of setting up unrealistic expectations between agency and the client, right? Which is already a bit of a dynamic tension in many ways, right? They're trying to get something perfect, quicker, cheaper, like their expectations and what's important to them is different from the creative process. So I think just communicating what you just said, kind of setting that expectation with the client to say, part of our creative process is that we fail, and so we may not come to you with the perfect spot on thing in round one. In fact, we may not be doing our jobs very well if we do that. So it kind of changes the whole conversation.
Yeah, and that's a part of the beautiful world we live in. Like I think that's why we maybe got into what we do at some point. That it's fun to try things and find things out, and why not invite the counterpart into that as well, and not just like hide it and be like, oh no, it's going to be perfect from the start. I mean, I think it's about honesty, maybe in the end there too. It's like, which is something we try to use a lot, and we try to be honest with telling our clients what they do wrong. Right? That we maybe early on, oh, you think that you're like this, but we don't think that's correct, or you think that you should, or you want to go towards this direction, but what you should do is this, and and so on. But then we could maybe turn that to ourselves sometimes a little bit more, and also be like, and to be honest about us, we do know what we do, but we have a process to get there, and that's where we need to be a bit more transparent and dare to make mistakes together as well.
Yeah.
And how other clients can go up. Some are stressed, they are so stressed, and they just need to get to their results and everything, and if you then haven't at all talked to them about this stuff, then it can quickly go south, so to say. It can be a very heavy reaction on things if you don't have that dialogue, for sure. Definitely gone through that too through the years. So
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Before we kind of wrap up, I saw on the website, or maybe it was Instagram or something, this ingenious collaboration that you did with called Shower Beer. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, no, Shower Beer is fun one. We did some artwork labels and stuff for a local brewery here in Stockholm some years ago, and we we had a deal because they didn't have that big budgets for our work, so we were like, it's fine, this is fun, but then we want to make a beer, eventually. So they were like, okay, cool, let's do that. But then instead of doing like a normal agency beer, or so, we could have done a snask lager or something. We want to actually create a product that we thought was fun and that was saying something. So we created the ultimate shower beer, because we basically like drinking beer in the shower, especially if you have a sauna. You got it's a little bit like Swedish Finnish thing going on there, I think. So yes, we created this shower beer and basically made it in a very small bottle that was like, so you could like finish it quite quickly so it doesn't go warm.
Right.
But at the same time, it's it's 10% strong, so you still get the same effect.
Right.
Screen printed with good grip, and fruity style. You can use it as shampoo as well if you want to, and all of that. It's very funny because when we released it, it went viral. So this is one of those. I actually witnessed something go truly, organically viral, or say where everyone picked it up. So we had Tom Hanks speaking on it on national radio, or it's been on the Daily Show, or etc. So it's definitely a fun one, and we're still, it's being like reissued, or what you say, we're going to be released soon again in a little bit like updated version, so the world can have more shower beers soon.
It's so fun, and such a testament to sort of the playfulness and the energy that you bring and that the team brings. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Any final takeaway or anything to kind of impart on some of the other agency owners or leaders who are watching or listening?
Oh, wow. Feels like I've been talking so much. I get so tired of my own voice sometimes. No, but I don't know. I think it's just like that thing what we've been talking about there. You can't be right. Like, be fine with doing things wrong and dare to do something different, and don't listen to the old industry and the conservative ways. If you believe that something should be done in a different way, try it. It's not that dangerous, and give yourself time.
That's great. Erik, thank you so much. I really, really had so much fun in this conversation.
Thank you, Kelly. It was great. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you watch or listen. And a final note of gratitude to the official sponsor of Thrive, Accessiby, the leading web accessibility solutions provider. Learn more about the win-win proposition and keep your clients' websites inclusive and compliant. Be sure to check out their partner program for your agency today at accessiby.com/thrive.